All right, guys, I want to show you how to do some mild retouching of portrait photos here in Photoshop. We're going to start with how to remove blemishes from people's faces. This is going to be a pretty important thing to learn. Before we get started, let's find the file we're going to be using. You can either download it from the description or come here into your folder in the Photo 3.4 folder. Find the file right here and right-click on it and choose Copy. And then go to your own folder and right-click on that and choose Paste Item. And that will put that in there for you. We just don't want to all be working on the original file. Let's go back to Photoshop and go ahead and open up this file. And if you see something about in the cloud or on your computer, choose on your computer. Browse your way to wherever you have the photo we're going to be working on. Go into your folder and you can see here it is right here. Here it is right here. Here's the one we're going to be working on. So I'm going to go ahead and click open on that bad boy. Super important thing to remember, guys, is that we never want to be working on the background layer. So we're either going to duplicate the layer or create a new blank layer. In this case, we're actually going to just work on a blank layer. So I'm going to come over here in my layers palette here in the bottom right-hand corner. Go to the bottom right-hand corner, click on this little plus sign right here, and that's going to create a new blank layer. Let's rename this layer 1 so we don't get confused. We're going to just double click right here on the words layer 1, and we're going to rename this skin. And man, Photoshop has gotten so much better at being able to retouch and remove things and remove blemishes from photos. This is so much easier than when I first learned how to do this. We're going to come over here on our toolbar and we're looking for this tool right here, the Spot Healing Brush. It's this one right here. The keyboard shortcut is J. You'll notice the Spot Healing Brush has a little triangle in the bottom right-hand corner of it. That means there are more tools hiding underneath it. And to see those tools, you just right-click on the tool. We're going to start with the Spot Healing Brush, and I'm going to teach you my favorite keyboard shortcut. On a Mac, it's Control-Option-Click, and what that allows me to do is it allows me to change either the size of the brush by moving the mouse left or right, or the hardness and softness of the brush by moving the mouse up and down. When we're removing blemishes, we want the brush to be slightly larger than the blemish we're trying to get rid of, and honestly, I think a harder brush seems to work better, so I'm actually going to bring my hardness up to 100%. For most of these blemishes. And now watch this. I'm going to just zoom in on this by doing a little option scroll wheel here. And all I got to do is put my cursor over this little dude right here and click on it and it will go away. Now I forgot to tell you one important thing you need to do. You do need to come up here and click on Sample All Layers. And what that's going to do is it's going to sample from the layer below but actually do the covering up on this layer. You can see if I turn this background layer off by clicking on this eyeball, that's what just happened right there. Photoshop just did that, and that's why I can no longer see that red dot because that little circle is over the top of it. So we're just going to use this Spot Healing Brush. I could probably make this a little bit smaller, so Control-Option-Click and drag that to the left. And there we go. I'm just going to go around and on some of these easy ones, just get rid of them. I'm going to come back to these two because where the Spot Healing Brush really has a hard time is when you're working on edges. So we'll come back to those in just a second. See how I'm moving around on this zoomed in image? I'm doing that by holding down the space bar. By pressing and holding the space bar, I'm moving around on the image that I'm zoomed in on. Another super handy keyboard shortcut. Let me grab this dude and let's see if we can get this one. I might make it just a little bit smaller since I don't have a ton of space to work with. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so let's check these ones that are on edges. Oh, let's try this one right here. This one's on an edge. Let's see how it works. That's not bad, but you can see it's a little blurry right there. I'm going to undo that by pressing Command-Z on my keyboard and try it again. And that actually looks a little bit better. And that's a good little tip right here when we're using the Spot Healing Brush. If it doesn't look perfect, always undo it and try it again. I don't love it though. It's not perfect. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to come back to that one. Let's try this one right here. That looks fine. I'm super happy with that. How about this one right here on the eyebrow? Pretty good. Pretty good. I'm okay with that. And then how about this one? Beesh, that looks terrible, so I'm going to undo that. And let's switch to, well, let me zoom out and make sure I got them all. Okay, oh, I left that one down there. He also has some natural acne and blemishes that we're going to go in and remove, but for the most part, we're going to use all the same tools we've used up to this point. However, for these harder ones, the ones that are on edges, we're actually going to come over here to our Spot Healing Brush, and we're going to switch to the regular Healing Brush tool, this guy right here. I'm going to click on that. We can do all of the same things. Control-Option-Click, move the brush to the left or to the right to make it bigger or smaller, and then up and down to make it harder or softer. I do find that when we're getting rid of these tough ones here on the edges, that it's a little bit better to use a softer brush. Not all the way, not a hardness all the way down to 0, but maybe somewhere in the 60% range. So I'm going to set that right there. Let's try that, and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And let's go down and do this one on his chin, because that's definitely going to be the easier one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Option key on my keyboard. You can see how my cursor turned into a little bullseye there. And what Photoshop is asking me with the Option key held down is, what do I want to cover this spot up with? So I'm going to hold down Option and click right on there. And I'm going to let go of the mouse and let go of Option. And you can see as I move my mouse around, Photoshop is giving me a sample of what it's cloning or what it's copying or what it's going to put over the top of this right here. So I'm going to just move this over that red blemish right there, line it up, and then as soon as I like the way it looks, I'll go ahead and click and lock that bad boy in. I also forgot to show you this. When we switch to the healing brush, we do need to come up here and change sample to all layers. So again, that it's sampling from the layers below it. That looks really great right there. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go up to this one on the eyeball, because I put this one here to make it intentionally difficult. You can see there's not a great place to sample from here. There's not a great spot for me to hold down Option to sample from to get this fixed right here. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come over to the other eyeball. Now I'm going to Option click right there to sample from that spot and let go. And I'm going to bring my cursor over and put it right there. And you can see it actually looks like it's going to work, but it's not quite lined up right. It's not the right angle. Well, here's another cool little keyboard shortcut for you. We're going to hold down Option and Shift, and then move the lesser than or greater than keys. And what that's going to do is that's going to rotate that for me. It happens pretty slowly, but you should see that rotating. I'm intentionally going too far so you can see it. That was the lesser than key, so now I'm going to do greater than. I'm going to bring that back until it about matches up as far as how I want it to be rotated. I might move this a little bit. Let's rotate that a little bit more. Option Shift, right bracket key. I'm going to drop that dude right in there. And remember, Photoshop's going to blend these together, so let's see how that looks. Oh man, that looks pretty good. Here's our before, and here's our after. I think it did a pretty great job. So that's a great way to see your progress. It's just coming over here on the skin layer and uncheck that and then recheck it. And let's kind of zoom out here, Option scroll wheel. And that's looking pretty good. I do want to go in. I'm going to go back to my normal spot healing brush, and I'm going to finish cleaning up all these little spots too on his forehead and face and just get him looking nice and clean. Again, we do not need him or even want him to look perfect. We don't want his skin to look fake and plasticky. So we're not going to remove every little blemish and every little bump from him, but we are going to just clean it up a little bit here with the spot healing brush. And if we need to, we can always switch back to the regular healing brush to finish this off.